Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we have an interesting topic, which is Helldivers 2, Sony, Arrowhead Studios, and just this whole drama that happened. I wanted to take kind of a minute to see how it all plays out before I just jump on the bandwagon and be like, oh, they did it because of this. Sony's cooked. Helldivers 2 is dead. Whatever, right? Um, I don't like that stuff. But I do have an opinion that I feel like is different from what other people think. I feel like what Sony is doing is very um, strategical, very precise, in a sense of obviously they're gonna act like they didn't know what they were doing when they know exactly what they were doing, and I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But long story short, there was PSN, which is PlayStation Network, requirement to link the game to your Steam account in order to play Helldivers 2 online. Now, this is a problem for many reasons. I will go over them. There's a bunch of complaints and reasons why this was bad. But yeah, let's start from the top, right? So the CEO of Arrowhead Studios said, "Hey everyone, in regards to account linking and questions there too, check out the Sony article, whatever." And people were furious, right? And there's a couple of reasons why. So the first reason is people don't trust Sony with their data. Understandably, there was a bunch of hacks. They lost millions and millions of info on accounts, and this is just one of the reasons why. Two, there was about 170 countries that don't have access to PlayStation Network. So what this means is even if they wanted to link their Steam account, they couldn't. There's no reason, there's no way to do it. And Helldivers 2 was selling in those 170 plus countries. So what that means is somebody paid $40 US and now they can't play the game 3 months in. The third thing is that it is just very shady practice to have terms and conditions of a video game upon purchasing a license. You don't really own your game on Steam. You're just buying a right to to play it, right? Um, so you're changing the terms and conditions months into the title's release. So it's just all around an extremely messy situation. And luckily, at the end, the community of the Helldivers 2 came together and boycotted the decision they made. So, but I think this goes deeper. But let's just go over the first part and just see how it all played out, right? So they announced that the account linking is going to be mandatory. People are pissed for whatever reason, right? At first, I was like, wait, this is not a big deal. It's just like I did it at first as soon as I started the game, and I haven't been playing from the beginning, right? I only bought the game actually about 3 weeks ago, so the game was already out since February, and it is May now, so the game has been out for 2 months at the time that I bought it, and it just looked great. Everything was going great for this game, and I think I did at first surface level. I didn't care about it at all. I didn't look into it. I was like, whatever, just link your PSN account, right? Now we're going back to why this was important. Pirate Software is a creator. He has his own studio. He's a very big advocate for players. He always talks about his opinions on how things are being handled, yada yada yada. Not to talk about it too much, but he basically shared SteamDB's post that Helldivers 2 is no longer purchasable in 177 countries where PSN is not available, but some are still available, like Baltics. So, why is this important? As I said earlier, you're selling the game to people knowing that this is going to be required, right? And how do we know that this is going to be required? We'll get to that as well. But this is another reason why there was so much backlash. You have so many people, and people will say like, well, maybe they don't make up a big part of the player base, right? Which is crazy to say, because obviously the community came together and review bombed the crap out of the game. A lot of people stopped playing, and literally people were just gonna give up on the game specifically because of this. And I love to see that for gamers. We came together and boycott at Sony to backtrack on something that's extremely stupid that they did. Next up is obviously the people not trusting Sony with their personal data. Now, obviously, you can make a bogus account, whatever, right? But not a lot of people are going to do that. There's just, I mean, personally, me, uh, I feel like if we're already on social media and whatever, our data is out there, right? So I personally don't pay too much attention to it, even though I should. Um, at this point, I don't know. My info is everywhere, and I'm not super crazy about this, but this is a very valid concern from players. There was a hack in 2023, I believe, and you can see this pissed Steam user that posted all the hacks that Sony went through. So in September 2023, Sony investigates alleged hack, and in October 2023, Sony notifies employees of data breach. It is extremely dangerous. It is not a good look for Sony, really. A company like Sony should have top-notch security, but I guess they don't, or they just got targeted by really good hackers. Whatever the case. So that was another concern from players, a valid concern, and this is why they didn't want to make a PSN account. Now, next up, I will go back to this guy. This is Grums. He was the former team lead for World of Warcraft. He's a producer, worked on Diablo 2, StarCraft, whatever. The reason why I'm mentioning this guy is because the way that they treated him, because he had concerns and he was standing up for your regular player, even though he didn't have to, was incredible to me. And kudos to him for going through all this. And we can circle back and talk about Grums specifically and how the community managers for Helldivers 2 were handling the situation. Now, I do have my own opinion why Sony did what they did. And this might be a stretch, I don't know. But recently, Sony as a whole said that they want to focus on the PC players and release all of their titles day one on console as well as on PC. Now, this is a very strategic move. Obviously, there's a bigger market share. There's a lot of people that like PlayStation games that only play on their PC. And I think there's nothing wrong with it. But the way that they go about it, I think, is extremely dangerous. And I'll kind of explain my theory why. Now, I'm not saying that this is exactly how it is. This is how this has happened. This is why this happened. It's just me thinking about it on like a bigger scale rather than just looking at Helldivers 2 as a game. So obviously, Helldivers releases. It has massive success, right? We're talking about 2 weeks in. It had almost more than 450,000 players, concurrent players. This is massive. Sony sees this, and in their head, right? This is a great success on its own, right? It is a $40 game. It does incredibly well. There's a bunch of people buying the DLC or the whatever it's called, the Super Citizen upgrade. Just, numbers are looking incredible for a studio that's not that big. Drastic change going from Helldivers 1, which is kind of top-down isometric style shooter, to like full-blown like third-person, extremely detailed and just it looked to me when I started playing 2 months in, it looked polished. It looked good. I enjoyed it. And where do you go from here, right? A live service game, it's hard to keep all the player base. And you can see this, right? Like you will have your initial, crazy amount of players, then it will slowly start to dwindle down. And then in the last, week or so, we've been seeing about 120 to 100 thousand concurrent players. Now, also what people need to understand is that this is on Steam. These are Steam charts. This doesn't include other platforms, so it is purely players that are on Steam. Now, from here, obviously there's a lot more players. There's a bunch of players that play on console. There is one thing that Sony has, and that's PlayStation Network. Now, apparently, the community managers, as well as the CEO, knew that eventually the PSN linking is going to be required, right? And we know this because the CEO shared about it, right? He said, "Is this the moment to tweet what you guys don't have phones? On a serious note, we are talking solutions with PlayStation, especially for non-PSN countries. Your voice has been heard, and I'm doing everything I can to speak for the community, but I don't have the final say." Now, you need to understand this. Sony is a publisher, right? They're not the only job, but they're backing this game as a publisher, right? And their job is to promote it, sell it, take a cut of the sales, whatever, right? So it is extremely frustrating that after they looked into this, the game gets pulled from 177 countries for sale on Steam. Like, it's crazy. Like, you take away an ability for 177 countries to buy this game, right? Because they didn't think this through. This blows my mind, right? Now, you gotta give kudos to the CEO, because if you read through this thread, there is this comment that says, like, why are you acting all, blameless? And the CEO says, "I do have a part to play. I'm not blameless in all of this. It was my decision to disable account linking at launch so that the players could play the game. I did not ensure players were aware of the requirement, and we didn't talk about it enough. We knew for about 6 months before launch that it would be mandatory for online PS titles." Okay? So they were fully aware of this, right? So now they say, wait, you knew about 6 months, then why would you sell it to non-PSN countries? And then the simple answer is, we do not handle selling the game, which is fair enough, right? Like, they could say, like, okay, we'll start with PSN linking being optional, and then later on we're going to say this has to happen. Now, why does Sony do this? The reasoning behind Sony is, it's better security, we can handle player reports and keep the community safer, yada, yada, yada. Seriously? Like, there is no reason for somebody who plays on Steam to link their account to the PlayStation Network, right? Like, you have your Steam players and just let them play on Steam. Like, if they don't want to play crossplay, whatever, right? I see the concern, but it is so minuscule and so stupid in this situation that it was just crazy to me that billion-dollar companies are handling this way. Anyway, long story short, this is how that was handled, right? And now we go over to Grums, right? And he was kind of going and pushing for just handling the game better, right? There's this community manager that they basically started removing this guy's comments and posts regarding Helldivers, and just because he was just trying to point out something that was wrong, right? Like, you don't handle players like this. They were ready to implode a whole community that's probably definitely a few million strong. And I will get back to that, but you're going through all of this trouble. You have community managers that are just straight up like, if you don't have anything nice to say, you will get banned off of it, which is not a good way to run. If somebody has constructive criticism, you don't just ban them, right? You try to listen to them and see why they think that they do. And yeah, moving on. This is gonna become a whole rant that I don't want to get into. My point now is why I think Sony did this, right? So you have your player base, the numbers started dwindling. Now, Sony is a publicly traded company. What does this mean? Some people will not understand where I'm going with this, but you have to understand the market. So the way that it works is you will have your quarterly earnings, predictions, yada, 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 right? I'm not a stock market expert, but I like to look into it whenever things like this happen. And why this is important is because they will report probably PSN network, like PlayStation Network accounts, as an indicator of potential growth in the future, right? Now, Helldivers 2 brings a ton of success, brings a lot of accounts, and brings a lot of numbers. And this will give them better predictions. This will give them more money from the investors. A lot more people are going to buy the stock. And then, you know, it essentially means more money for the company, or for the top management of the company, because their stock is doing well. So I think Sony is pretending that they didn't know how to handle all of this, and you can see in this tweet, Helldivers fans, we've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking. The May 6 update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and for current players beginning May 30th, will not be moving forward. We're still learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on future plans. So, why I think this is important. This part right here. We're still learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. I think they know exactly what they're doing. I think they know exact numbers of players they make up this new market, right? You're talking about, I'm going to talk in hypotheticals, right? If you have, right, you have your PlayStation players, right? Oh my god, my handwriting is terrible. PlayStation players, let's just say it goes, you know, it started going there, then eventually it kind of peaked, maybe it went down, PlayStation 5 comes out, blah, 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 and then maybe the number starts dwindling, right? And you have PC players. Okay? Now, this is a whole new market that they're getting into, and we can kind of argue that there's double dipping with console and PC, but that's not majority of your play base, right? So you have this huge, like, you know, you have released like God of War, blah blah blah, then, you know, a couple more titles come out, and then Helldivers 2 come out, and just, you know, it's a good upward trend, right? But this right here could be about, let's say, 1 mil. Let's just say 1 million new players or new accounts, right? This is incredibly valuable to them. More accounts and better, like, picture for them on the stock market means more to them than no amount of copies, right, that they can sell. So I think what they did was planned very sneakily to have a way to backtrack. And if Helldivers 2 players didn't say anything, they would have gone far beyond this tactic to get more people on PlayStation Network. Now, marketing, all that stuff, like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the ethics and the way that they handled the situation was incredibly bad. I think that there was just this greedy way of trying to almost inflate numbers on PSN Network that they try to do with this mandatory account linking, and it's not right. I don't think it's right. A lot of people are going to see this as 1, 2, or 3 problems. I think that this goes way bigger than that. And yeah, I think they knew what they were doing. I highly doubt that they didn't do all of this on purpose. Community managers for the game also handled it terribly with the community. if you had anything bad to say, like you were apparently just, kicked out, and, deal with it. But yeah, it's sad. It really makes me sad the way that they handle this, especially with the layoffs. So yeah, that's pretty much my opinion on it. There is a couple of different things and reasons why people were so upset over it. I think it's all valid, valid concern, extremely poor handling of the situation by Sony. Um, I'm happy for Helldivers 2 players, but this is just going to tell Sony either make it mandatory from the beginning, which is, to me, it's okay, because, you have your EA account connected to Steam, you have your, I don't know which other systems are there, or platforms, but it has never been an issue, right? And this could have been handled very easily, in a sense of, hey, if you link your PSN account, we will give you a free skin, right? And then if nobody cares for the skin or a cosmetic or a weapon, right, they can just be like, nah, I'm not doing it. And then it's a double win, right? Like, you will get some of those people that are excited about exclusive content, and they'll give you your data for it. And then on the other side, you have players who won't do it, but you're not going to get any backlash for, forcing people to do it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I think this was overall a great victory for gamers, not just for PC players. I saw a lot of ignorant people on both PC side and on PlayStation side that were butting heads over stupid stuff. And at the end of the day, we're all just trying to play video games. We're all trying to get together. Like, who wouldn't want to have all games be crossplay, right? Like, there's certain titles where I think it's not fair, on one end or the other, to be on console or on PC. But at the end of the day, we just want to play games together. We want to have fun. And, this was a massive, massive spit in the face from Sony to try to do something like this. And I'm definitely going to be careful with approaching further titles. And I hope that they make it optional for every game. I think that it functions well as it is. And I hope that they learn from this. So, yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like or dislike if you disagree with me. Subscribe and hit a little bell if you want to see new videos when they're coming out. But until the next video and next little spur of motivation, I'll see you then. Take it easy. Good night. Peace.